the cat's secret guard in a small cozy house at the edge of a quiet town, lived a little girl named Emma and her cat Shadow. Shadow was no ordinary cat. He was sleek black, with fur as soft as velvet and eyes that gleamed like emeralds in the dark. But what made Shadow truly special was his sense of duty. He wasn't just a pet. He was a protector, a guardian, and the quiet hero of the house. One crisp autumn evening, as Emma finished her homework, she noticed something odd. Shadow, who was usually curled up beside her on the couch or chasing after toy mice, was acting strangely. He was sitting by the door to her room, his tail flicking back and forth with an almost anxious energy. "Shadow?" Emma asked, her voice soft. "What's wrong, boy?" Shadow's eyes met hers, but instead of his usual calm gaze, there was an urgency in them. He padded over to Emma, meowed softly, and then looked back at the door, as if telling her to follow. Emma frowned, not quite understanding what was happening, but her curiosity got the better of her. She stood up and followed the black cat, who led her to the doorway of her bedroom. Shadow sat there again, looking up at her, his green eyes almost glowing in the dim light of the hallway. "Are you trying to tell me something?" Emma asked, crouching down to his level. Shadow meowed again, but this time, his voice was low and serious. Then with a swift, deliberate motion, he scratched at the door of her room. Emma's heart skipped a beat. She had never seen Shadow act like this before. The cat wasn't one to scratch at doors unless he was hungry or wanted to go outside. But this felt different. Without thinking twice, Emma opened the door. At first, everything seemed normal. Her room was just as she had left it, with her bed neatly made, her toys scattered on the floor, and the soft glow of her nightlight casting shadows on the walls. But as she stepped inside, something caught her eye. A small, unfamiliar shadow flickering in the corner of the room. Emma froze. She looked toward the corner of the room, but there was nothing there. Nothing except the darkness of the evening creeping in through the window. She took another step, her heart beating faster now. Suddenly, Shadow leaped in front of her, his body tense and his fur standing on end. He hissed loudly and stood between Emma and the corner. Emma gasped, feeling a chill run down her spine. She had never seen Shadow act like this, not even when there were strangers in the house. "Shadow, what's wrong?" she whispered, her voice trembling slightly. The cat's eyes never left the corner. He took a few steps forward, still hissing softly, and then, as if he were guarding something invisible, he began to pace back and forth, his tail flicking with determination. Emma's mind raced. Was there something or someone hidden in the corner of the room? As she stood there, frozen with fear, Shadow suddenly darted forward and jumped onto the window ledge. His keen eyes scanned the darkness outside, and with a low growl, he leaped down to the floor again, then looked up at Emma as if to say, "All clear." Emma slowly exhaled, her nerves still on edge. Shadow had never acted like this before. He had always been protective, but this was different. Something was not right, and Shadow had been guarding her from it. She sat down on her bed, still trying to process what had just happened. Shadow jumped onto her lap and curled up, purring softly. The cat's body was warm against hers, a comforting reminder that he was there to protect her, no matter what.